You're listening to Nothing's Off the Table with Andy and Lou, an Admiral Media production podcast. All information at the time of recording is mostly accurate. Comment below, give 5 stars, all rights reserved. See you next week.
That's the end.
Boy, did I blow that one.
Hey, but to finish what we were talking about, I was telling Andy about my new lunchbox, Captain America. Yeah, they have to have a matching thermos, or I don't want it.
That's cool, man. Yeah,
Welcome.
You know what's funny, dude? I looked at that button right before I hit it, and I said to myself, "That's the wrong one. Don't hit it." And I hit the fucking stupid one anyway.
Oh yeah, hey man.
Hey, you know what? That's why we are the professional production that we are.
That's what happens. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do? I'm gonna try to save a little face and roll right in to the next segment because I'm an idiot.
Let's do it. I love pretending I have the money for 2 cameras. All right, so hey, I paid for it, so you don't have to, right? The Voice of America bias inquiry. David Folkenflick reported on the Voice of America's review of a correspondent's social media posts, raising concerns about political interference. They took a look at it, and guess what you found? Lean left or right? Left? Yeah, you're right. All right, Supreme Court
Wait,
ruling. The
I'm
U.S. Supreme
confused.
Court
Left or right?
The Supreme Court ruled to unfreeze foreign aid payments. Details can be found on the Supreme Court's official site. Did you see that? They handed down that ruling saying that the U.S. must release that $2 billion in funding without verification that the funds will be used for what was actually contracted or gone to the contracted environments. That came out. You can find details of that on their website. Federal workforce cuts. Kate Allen Pinsky of Newsweek covered President Trump's large-scale federal workforce layoff spearheaded by the Department of Government's Efficiency. They are slashing departments left and right. They just cut the Department of Education by 50%. Climate program cuts. Kelsey Misprinter of Solar Power World detailed the EPA's termination of $20 billion of your tax dollars in climate grants under Administrator Lee Zeldin. So another $20 billion back in the coffers for us. Electric vehicle goals. Josh Lederman of NBC News reports on California's CARB chair defending the state's electrical vehicle initiatives. As you know, federal funding has been removed from many of those, and so it'll be incumbent upon states to pick up where those left off if they want those initiatives to continue. So glad President Trump took us off that mandate, that electric car mandate. Steve Curry's milestones, right? Steve Curry highlighted on ESPN historic achievement. Andy, he's the only person to ever achieve 4,000 career 3-pointers. That's crazy. That guy hit him.
Wow.
4,000. Wow. Kelly Clarkson's absence. Entertainment Tonight revealed that Kelly Clarkson's recent absence from her talk show was due to a family emergency. I know I missed her. I watch every day.
Never heard of him.
The Voice, you remember that? They're still around. 27 seasons. You would think they'd have been gone a long time ago, right? But The Voice Battle Rounds, American songwriter shared insights into the celebrity advisors for season 27 battle, including Cynthia Erivo and Little Big Town. Who's not a fan? I don't know why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet.
Once again, I'm going to go with I don't know who they are for 100, Alex.
Of course, Gene Hackman died this week, and tributes poured in. But yeah, that was wild. His death. Not this week, but did you see the news on that? Hantavirus for the wife, which is a rodent disease.
Wow, I did not.
So latest was they think she passed. Well, they absolutely know she passed from hantavirus. They think, Jean with Alzheimer's kind of wandered for a few days, not even realizing she was dead, sadly, and then passed away.
Do you think that's what killed the dog as well?
They think the dog was just locked up and forgotten about.
Huh.
No, it was found starved. It was locked in a locked container.
Poor thing.
Yeah, I'm sure once Betsy Arakawa passed, nobody was there for Jean. And Alzheimer's is Very, very difficult, especially if the person's mobile.
Mhm.
Very difficult. And that's it. That's a wrap for what I went on this week.
Excellent. Wow, man. Yeah, that's I actually went back, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I watched The French Connection again. Just kind
Yeah.
of in honor, you know. I'm not a big fanboy guy. I really don't care about actors at all. But Gene Hackman was a Marine, therefore a fellow veteran, and a great
Just a good
actor in
man.
my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, you never saw him anywhere. You never saw him on these crazy campaigns, these political anything. You never saw him on the right or on the left. You
Right.
know, he just quietly went and retired.
Yeah. Great man. Uh so
Have you
I hope
seen?
he's have I seen
Did you see the Joe Rogan interview with Bill Murray? Speaking of
y-
great people.
you no, I've had every intention to watch it, and you know how my brain works, I keep forgetting to watch it.
The funniest thing, if you guys haven't seen it, and I won't say how it happens, but the funniest thing is no one knows because Bill Murray's an expert troll, right?
Mhm.
But you have to watch it for yourself and ask, does he really not know who Joe Rogan is? Because it is hilarious. He's like, what is this on film? Is this what you do here? It's, when when he said he worked with Phil Hartman, he was like, "You worked with Phil Hartman on what?" He was like, "News Radio." He's like, "What was that?" He was like-
Oh, I'm
so the
definitely going to watch it
so
now.
the only reason I'd say, you have to wonder, is Bill Murray a master troll? Is because when he says to Joe Rogan, "What did you do with him there?" And he said, "Well, Phil was the main actor, the main character that the show was around, and I was the goofy sidekick." And he goes, "Were you jealous?" He's like, "Huh?" And he goes, "Were you jealous that Phil had better billing? Were you jealous? You were just the side. Phil had better billing. Were you jealous?" And he goes, "Well, no, I don't think so." Like,
Is Rogan like? Can you like see the wheels turning in his head and everything?
it's just like he's meeting. In the beginning, you see like the look on his like. Well, it's a wonderful interview. It's an amazing interview. But when those like small little things happen, you could see the like never meet your hero. Like you can see the like, oh man, like the guys are gonna bust my balls for this. The
Hey,
guys are gonna bust my balls for this,
I've got a public service announcement. Here in the St. Louis area, we're about to get bombarded with some pretty wicked storms.
Uh-oh.
So we may, I don't know if we'll maintain power the whole time, but I just saw one light flicker. So,
I was gonna say you're already choppy on video, but my internet sucks so bad. I don't
well,
dare comment on anyone else.
well, you know what? I can probably boost that here real quick. But yeah, I'm afraid that we're going to lose power. So let's see if that helps out a little bit. I'll get a little signal booster action going on. But is it cleared up at all?
Not
No,
yet.
not yet. It
No.
might take a minute or two. But no, man. So last week we didn't have a show because my old unit, First Battalion, Third Marines, we had our BAS reunion in Vegas, and man, it was so good to see those guys, man. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been 25 years for most of them. It's been even longer than that for some of the others, and what I was so proud of, man, is that every single one of them are successful. You know, they're doing great in life, and it's the tightest unit I've ever been a part of. For
That's awesome.
for a conventional unit to be that tight, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
You're having
but
get-togethers.
so it was amazing. We're going to try to do it again. Uh, we're going to try to do it either on an annual or a semi-annual basis, and not let it get so long. Some of us aren't around anymore, and some of us are old, and we might not be around much longer. So,
Yeah.
um,
No, hey, yeah, that's a fact, man.
yeah. Uh, but man, let me tell you what I was smoked after that weekend, man. You know, it's we probably walked, oh my god, probably 30 plus
Yeah.
miles when it's all said and done, you know. Um, but I was so proud and happy for Alma. You know, she did great going through the TSA. That was the first time I ever flew with her. Um, but you know, Didn't pay attention to any distractions. I told her to stay. I walked to the metal detector, uh, told her to come, and I was super happy for her.
Nice.
Pissed off. I will never fly Frontier Airlines ever again.
Oh,
Dude, number one, they're rude. They're rude as hell, right? My first red flag should have been the 4 days I wasted of my life trying to get somebody on the phone to actually talk to you and get advice for where I should sit with Alma, you know? Um, so get on there and look, if I'm complaining about leg room, you know those seats are small. You know what I mean?
that's true. That's true.
um, so she, and of course I had to put her on the floor. So she was really crunched up under the seat, and it was just I felt really bad for her. But plus side is coming back. I flew Southwest, and man, those flight attendants were awesome. I even told them, I said, you guys are way cooler than Frontier, and they let me board first with her. I got to pick the very first row, the bulkhead where there's plenty of room. She was comfortable, put me at ease, and I'm spent.
No, flying is, some people don't like it. I was telling you, I love it. Some people don't like it though. I don't like takeoff and landing. Once I'm in the air, I'm okay. I love the airport. I love hanging out in the airport. That's what I love being in.
Mm.
I do. I just love walking around the airport, seeing all the people. Man, some people are bold. They travel like in, I don't know, shit I wouldn't travel in.
Pajamas and like, oh my
Oh
god,
yeah.
yeah.
And then the bubble boys, they're like,
Yeah.
like it's so fun. Like, and then there's wild stores there. You can find like
Oh
weird
yeah,
shit. Like,
man.
oh man, I didn't know I was looking for a nose picking book light. It's amazing.
That's right.
Look, it
So
goes. Look how convenient that is. It goes right there.
we talk a lot about integrity in a roundabout sort of way, and let me tell on myself. So I was trying to be prepared as I could be to go through TSA and all that. I read the website wrong, right? I thought it said for a service animal I could have an 8 ounce bottle of water to go through with her. Well, I talked to the one guy. I said, "No, that's not what your website says." He made me throw it out, and then the supervisor came over and they made me throw it out. And so I went back and I got to my gate and I looked it up on my phone, and sure as shit, they were right. So you know what I did? I walked my happy ass back down there to that supervisor, and I apologized to him and told him he was right.
It's nice. I
That
bet he was
dude
like, "Damn, he
he
didn't know
was
what to do.
blown away. He
Know
goes,
what to do."
I don't think I've ever had anybody come back and tell me they were wrong.
But yeah, it's so funny when you admit like fault, like it screws people up. Like when they walk in, like, who did this? Oh yeah, it was me right here. I don't think you understand. This is very important. We get to the bottom of what? Who you? You admit that? Yeah, man.
Right?
Yeah, let's not waste anyone's time. I did that. Is it a problem?
Yeah.
You know?
And I bring that up because I know we're involved with Dan Clore's project. I'm working with a lot of these kids that are trying to get in the military, and we've had quite a few training topics on leadership and things like that. And we've talked about integrity and things like that. And some of them will be watching. And I just, hey, listen, I practice what I preach, is what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say. And if you do that, you'll go far in life.
I think so. It's easier to keep track.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
tell the
Yeah.
truth, it's easier to keep track. It's easier to stand up to scrutiny.
Yeah. And it's okay to be wrong, man. It's
I think,
cool.
yeah, that's the other thing, man. It's never, I keep trying to explain to people. It's never it's very rarely is it the screw up. I'm not gonna say never.
Mhm.
Very rarely is it the screw up, but it is always the cover up that gets you in trouble.
Yep.
Very rarely will the screw up, but the
I was
cover up, absolutely,
I
absolutely.
was I was talking to someone the other day in a mentor capacity, and I told him, I said, "Listen, man, it's not the act that people will judge you on that you screwed up on." I said, "It's how you react and recover afterwards. It's your character that you will be judged on in the end."
Yes,
You know,
yeah, that's correct. Right, right.
did you accept responsibility? Did you shirk it?
Yeah,
Did you own
exactly.
up to it? So I can pull up some decent ones out of my ass every now and then.
But it's so true, though. I mean, it's just easier to say, "Yeah, I did it." Yeah, yeah. If you did, or if you made a decision. I mean, the other thing too is not only does it waste people's time, I mean, but you start to build a brand, right? Like, like, do you make mistakes? Yeah, but you know what? He'll at least he'll admit it. At least he's teachable. He's workable. He doesn't
Right.
make the same mistake twice. I think that'll get you in trouble too, though, if you're just not learning,
Oh,
right?
for sure.
And I think I heard a Sergeant Major, and give him credit where credit's due. Sergeant Major Tuttle said used to tell us all the time, there's mistakes of the heart and mistakes of the brain. Mistakes of the heart will get you killed every time. He said, and what he used to mean by that is, because I didn't understand it. And what he used to mean by that was, if you misread something, if you misinterpreted something, that's okay. We'll figure that out. If you knew it was wrong, but thought you knew better,
Mhm.
if you think you have the high ground,
Right.
he said that's going to kill you every time. Every time. There's no justifying that.
And it can't be fixed either.
It's too late. He
Yep.
said, so mistakes of the heart will kill you every time. Just, yeah, you don't know, you know what I mean? Like, that was his thing. Don't purposefully not follow orders or anything like that.
Right. Yeah.
Don't
No,
purpose.
I thought I had a pretty good idea of what he meant by that, and then you
Sure.
just kind of broke it down even better.
Broke it down for the guy in the back.
That's right. That's me. So, yeah, man, I was wrong, and because I had my little cards with me and everything, because I didn't want anybody to say crap to me about you can't bring that dog. Just be quiet. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Because I was already stressed enough as it was going out there. You know, um, I wanted to be as prepared as possible for morons. Is what I'm trying to say. You know,
Always.
try to educate, but I didn't. I knew I wasn't going to have the patience for it. But um, I tell you, man, it was. We really didn't do a damn thing, except hang out, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. It was cool as hell. We went to the Leatherneck Club, and to me, it was nice. Don't get me wrong, but it seemed to be like a VFW on crack. But what I found hilarious about it is right smack dab in the middle of Chinatown in Vegas, surrounded by massage parlors. I said, how appropriate for a fucking Marine bar to be centered right there.
Yeah, right. Right.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a massage. I mean, yeah. Anyway, but let me tell you how old I'm getting. I think I was in bed by 11:30 every night.
Oh,
Just smoked, man.
well, that's out there. That's 1 a.m., man.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're up to pretty late.
So I told them, they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go hit the strip or the bars." I'm like, "Have fun. Tell me about it tomorrow."
Yeah. Yeah.
This old man's going to bed. But but
That stuff is fun. Don't get me wrong, and the shows are neat and things, and Vegas is certainly an experience. But um, I think we need to, if you do it once I think if you take a long weekend there, you've seen it. You're
yeah,
good.
yeah,
You know?
pretty much. Maybe with the exception of hitting up like the Grand Canyon or
Yeah, yeah, like natural wonders like that. Sure,
right,
certainly things to travel to. Like if you wanted to go see the Bunny Ranch or something. Like that's. I mean, that's certainly iconic, right? I mean,
right.
um, these things are iconic. I mean, I would go there to see it for sure. I mean, that's. I mean,
I
when we
drive
grew up.
by it. Yeah,
I mean, you got to figure, like when we grew up. I mean, I'll talk about like when we grew up, man. That was like the premier magazine, right? Like Hustler was for poor kids. Like they showed sex.
right. Right.
Playboy left it to the imagination, so you can spend hours with it. Anyway,
That's right.
long
You
story.
know, speaking of Larry Flint and
Yeah.
Hustler,
Oh
there
my
was
god.
there was a guy that he still hosts a radio show in Manchester, New Hampshire, right? And so I
Yeah.
would call in every now and then, and I do different voices. And I did a Larry Flint impersonation for him one day, and he couldn't not laugh. He was trying the best he could. He just couldn't do it, But
Well, you got to give us some. You can't just bring it up and
well,
not do it.
I mean, he's just talking like this. See Larry Flint.
Paralyzed. Somebody shot him. He could have used Neuralink. He could have been a Neuralink. I wonder if he would have taken it. I wonder if he had taken a Neuralink.
He's like, "Oh, hey, Larry, how you doing? I'm just drooling on
Does sound like
myself."
him. He does sound like him. It's the cadence too.
Right.
That's what makes it.
And
Larry
then he had
Flint.
me. He had me call in every now and then, and I was Bruce, the entertainment reporter.
What do you have for us, Bruce? What's happening on the strip?
Oh my god! I would actually write out shit. I don't remember any of it, but yeah, I would be as flamboyant as possible and just come up with the most outrageous, semi-true stories. It was great. It was fun, but we had a falling out, man. Not really falling out. He's pretty hardcore liberal, and he had one of his friends. This was back when I was with the other guys, Vinny and Stezo, and we had this guy come on who was a hardcore liberal, man. The only guest that I've had since I started podcasting that lost his freaking mind, called us assholes, Nazis, fascists, everything you could think of, threw his phone and then left.
Wow.
All over the mention of, I think Vinny brought up, it was a Bureau of Labor statistic that he couldn't dispute, and he said Trump, and that was it. Dude's head exploded.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
It was. Looking back, it's hilarious, but at the time, I'm like, "What the hell just happened?" You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, man. When people when people blow when you're having a conversation and somebody just like blows up, you're like, huh? What happened there?
Right, because we had him on in the pre-show in the room, laughing, joking, everybody was having a good time, man. And wow,
And
talk
then that
about
soured
flipping a
the
switch.
relationship with the other guys.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They're
I
like,
mean, every
can't
now and then,
believe you support Trump.
yeah. And I would always get on there and I'd try to play devil's advocate and hit him up with facts, and facts didn't really matter. So, you know, we're still cordial, but that's about it. I still think he's a good guy, a little misguided, but that's okay.
Right. So let me tell you something. So here's the thing about this was interesting, right? We're talking about political careers and things like that. What is the political makeup of what job is the majority of people in Congress, and what profession do they come from?
I'd say probably lawyers for the
I
most
think
part.
so. Let's Google that. Hey Phil, can you look that up real quick? He'll get back to us.
Yeah, that's why we're
So
paying you, Phil.
that's why. How do you spell?
PHIL. You should know this by now.
Shit. Majority
Damn,
of
Phil.
occupations in Congress. Lawyer, yeah. All right.
Wow.
So
All right.
anyway, but it would make sense, right? People would
Yeah.
choose to probably elect lawyers to write law, right? Since they do it.
Mhm.
And you had this interesting thing from Nancy Pelosi, right? A long time ago, you had to pass the bill to find out what's in the bill, right?
Oh yeah.
And
So,
and here, so there was deeper analysis in the coming years of why that was said, right?
that
And
was the Obamacare bill, I believe, wasn't it?
it was one. I forget which one of them was, right? But
Affordable care. Yeah.
at the beginning, everybody was saying, she hadn't read it, right? And that's what they were saying. Like, how can you pass a bill you haven't read? And da 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 da. And upon further analysis, what the latest theory about that is how they go about governing, right? They pass these giant bills, right? That speak very very vaguely using a lot of legalese so that the courts can interpret it, which they have packed, right? They've already packed the district and circuit courts, right? So they already know how they're going to kind of rule, but they
Right.
want to see how they rule on it. So that's what that when she says we have to pass the bill so that the courts can start ruling on it so we can see what it says is what she means, right? But when she says that,
Mhm.
because that's how they've been governing with these large bills, passing these huge bills and just letting the courts work it out, which is, judicial supremacy, or, why you've heard those things in theories.
Right. Yeah, go figure. Let's write it to the way that we know that they're going to rule.
Right. The way they're going to rule, or give them the opportunity to rule in our favor. Even so, like, basically, even though we said, that this is going to make the color purple be blue from now on, even though we always wanted it to be yellow, we're going to do that because we know that's popular, because we already know the court's going to make it yellow.
Right.
So we're going to vote for the thing because we know the court's going to make it what we want it anyway. So that gives us the political cover to run to our constituents and say, we did what you want. They with the lifetime appointment, we can't do anything about that.
Wow, it's funny how it goes right back to that integrity thing, isn't it?
Right. So interestingly enough, recent analysis, okay, and if you want to go down, we got time to go down a rabbit hole here, right? The first jobs to go away when AI comes online are physicians and lawyers and thinking jobs. Right now, the computer beats the human in cancer diagnosing, right? We all know that. You can Google that right now, article after article. So if you go see an oncologist, I'm going to ask mine, can we run that through the computer?
Right.
Do we have the computer? And if we do, can we use it? But that's I mean, I want the best care possible, and that's what they're saying is, sorry, I'm trying. Yeah, I keep scratching my. I don't want anybody to think I took up cocaine. I don't do any drugs. I have no pancreas. I'll die. But I'm trying to grow a beard, and it's really itchy because I don't get one. I
Cocaine is
just
a hell
get
of a
this
drug.
right. I just get this reverse Hitler, but it like itches right here. And so anyway, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh my God, And then I'm thinking, like, these people are gonna think I'm having a better time than I actually am.
Wow, you're way paranoid because
I am.
like,
Probably nobody even looking or thinking that way.
no.
Anyway, long story longer. All right. But if that's the makeup of the people we elect to go to Congress, I wonder, let's speculate. What do you think? What do you think the occupations of our future lawmakers will come from?
You want fries with that?
It's possible.
It's going to be Idiocracy, man.
No,
The
I don't think so. I think we might be looking at you might see a working class emerge, right? You're sort of your works, rather than being the manager of a multi-level company, the work site foreman. Maybe that type of working class political, like, hey, I've been on the job site. I know what it is to swing this hand. Okay, that's absurd. Or whatever. I don't know.
I wonder how that's going to affect the small mom and pop businesses.
AI, or like
Yeah,
getting rid of lawyers
AI.
and stuff. I mean, I think they'll have access. I mean, if they get rid of the lawyer, I mean, you figure if AI, okay. So let's back up, right? Speaking of getting rid of lawyers, there was an app, you can Google this, right? They got it shut down. The Bar Association got it shut down. It was
Oh yeah.
a legal defense app for traffic court. And so they basically, what you would do is you would type in your citation, the question the judge asks, and it would, the state you're in, and you know what I mean, and then it would tell you what defense to use, right? Like, do this, right? But it had to go into, you know how courtrooms anyone can go in
Mhm.
because it's public. So they were going into those and recording. So every
Oh,
bar association in America sued them,
huh. Wow.
right? Because they were about to put them out of work because the app was better than the human.
Right.
It searched the law like that. And it
Right.
gave solid defenses, right? Like people were like, so in the testing phase, it was working.
Hmm.
And so they were like, no way, right? So the bar got it shut down, got it completely shut down. So now let's look at small business, right? What is the larger corporation's ability to bully a small business that has access to an AI attorney that can say you're wrong? You're trying to squeeze us using this law, this law, this law, and this law. You
Mm.
can't do that because, we have these protections, and these protections.
Mhm.
So that stuff can be solved immediately. Or right, hey, look, like wonderful utopia or horrible dystopia, right? It could be like, no, all the laws will crush you. You'll be drained in 3 months. Just sign now.
Yeah, that
But
could be
here's the
too.
modeling. You'll be drained in 3 months.
Huh.
I mean, save yourself the drainage, right? You know what I mean? So
Right.
those conversations can happen quickly and you'll have the results quickly. And so now let's take it further, right? Right? What does that do to the generation who's never been told no to now be told no? Boom. Not only
Right.
no, but hell no, and here's why.
Right. And AI doesn't give a shit about your feelings.
Right. Here is exactly why. So, before you start crying,
I wonder if AI will pop up with a a clip from Kindergarten Cop. You know, when that kid said, "Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina."
right? I think I
You know.
think it's yeah, I think people are gonna get you know what I think? I think there's gonna be a period where the two things will be true. I think we could see that. I think we could see it being awesome for some people and just
Mhm.
being horrific for others. Like,
Sure.
you mean my life has been a lie the whole time? Yep, absolutely. We've been trying to tell you. Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, none of it is true, or it's all true, all of it, right? Like like Han Solo, it's all true, all of it. No. And then the movies went to shit.
But yeah, no
Like right
kidding.
after that scene, almost.
So, no, I'm not going to ask that question because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I'll ask you that later offline.
Sounds
But
good.
um, what I would like to do, because I've heard a little bit of rumblings outside already. Let's just roll right on in to the I
Andy,
Am
let's
Buying This
beat the
segment.
storm.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So you know what that means, folks? It means I can't find the button. That's what that means. All right. Got one. I got a good one for you this week. Oh boy. So we're gonna talk about the astronauts that have been stranded in space. All right, folks, something ain't adding up. NASA's astronauts were supposed to be home months ago, but here we are still waiting. And they're telling us it's just technical issues. But let me tell you why I ain't buying it. NASA sent Barry Butch Wilmore and Sunita Suni Williams to the ISS for an 8-day mission. It's now been 9 months. First, it was a problem with Boeing's Starliner capsule. Then, when SpaceX planned to bring them back, wouldn't you know it, another delay. Now, maybe they think we're stupid, but NASA has sent hundreds of astronauts to and from the ISS. They have backup plans for their backup plans. So, why are these two still stuck up there? Because I don't think NASA is trying to bring them home. I think they're trying to figure out how to keep them from coming back. The spacewalk that changed everything. A few months ago, Wilmore and Williams went outside for a routine spacewalk. Everything was normal until their camera cut out for exactly 2 minutes and 37 seconds. When the feed returned, they finished their work, came back inside, and later admitted they didn't remember finishing the mission. Then things got weird. They started pausing mid sentence, like they were listening to something the rest of us couldn't hear. They'd wake up in different parts of the ISS with no memory of how they got there. Wilmore was recorded staring out a window for 37 minutes without moving. Then came the transmission. NASA's ground control received a message from the ISS. It was Wilmore's voice. "We are ready to come home." Problem is, Wilmore was asleep when it was sent. NASA analyzed the audio and the voice was off, like something was imitating him but hadn't quite figured out how to sound human. Why aren't they coming home? If this was just a technical issue, they'd send another spacecraft. If it was just a medical concern, they'd rush them home for evaluation. But instead, they keep pushing the date back because they don't know what's inside those astronauts anymore. Maybe it's a parasite. Maybe it's a signal rewriting their minds. Maybe it's something worse. But whatever came back from that spacewalk isn't human anymore. Isn't stalling because they can't bring them home. They're stalling because they're terrified of what happens if they do. So yeah, NASA, you can keep feeding us the same technical difficulties excuse, but me, I ain't buying it because this story has all been made up. Bazing, baby.
That's crazy. They're
Yeah.
up there. They're so stuck up there, man. And here's the thing: it's not even that high up. It's not
Right.
like people like this thing's in that's between us and them. No, it's like 300 miles up, man. It's not that far.
So be honest.
Actually, let me look up how far up it is.
How far through that did you get before you start thinking, what is he talking about? Is he crazy?
No, man.
Is he insane?
I'd be into all that, man. Skinwalker Ranch and all. I watch it all, man.
Or were you like, holy shit, where's he getting this from?
I was like, man, why haven't I seen this? I should be. Yeah, it's 227 nautical miles away from the Earth.
Ah,
It's only 420 clicks.
yeah, just take a swim.
I mean, I'm not saying like that's close. Like I could spit there. I'm not like
Right.
international tough guy. I'm just, look at my reverse Hitler. Yeah, I whoop some ass, boy. I look like that Rat King from Turtles 1992 team, the 1984 Ninja Turtle. Like, oh, where's Leonardo? I'm gonna take him over there. We'll give him a toe boss. All right.
I was actually leaning a little more towards Joe Dirte.
Yeah, Joe Dirt. That was funny. I was listening to David Spade talk to Dennis Miller on Fly on the Wall, and they were talking about how Joe Dirt 2 came out on Crackle, and how the CEOs, like, it was like a Crackle thing. They put all this money. They got Spade behind it. They said, we're going to launch it with Joe Dirt 2. It's going to be great. Like, you'll get share. He's like, you know how they are. He's like, you know how they are. He's like, then they launch it 3 months in. They're like, we're not, we're just not going to put any more money into it. He's like, so my Joe Dirt 2 movie is locked into this Crackle contract. He's like, it's like stuck over there.
I was gonna say, I never even knew there was a Joe Dirt 2.
Well, he said like, part of the launch was like, if you want to watch Joe Dirt, just join Crackle, right? And so you join Crackle and you get Joe. He's like, we got 3 million subs. He's like, but they just, I don't know. We're not gonna put any more money in it.
Weird.
He's like, it's still out there. He's like, but they just don't do anything with it. That was fascinating.
I don't think I'll watch it.
Yeah, it's not that far up there, right? I mean, so it's not like it's crazy. I mean,
it does make you wonder though, man. Why aren't they back?
I think I think like Trump said, they discovered that NASA had a plan, or Musk was going to get them back, but they didn't want him to because it would have been seen as a win. Right. So I don't know if you saw like one of the, like, if you don't watch this stuff all day, every day, you don't catch the little crap that comes out. Right. So they're like, oh, we converted them to the 9-month mission. Like, we just like, so they probably were like, look, man, you're up there. No, I mean, we'd have brought the same shit. Like the packing list isn't different, right? You know what I mean? Like maybe a book or two, but the packing list isn't different, right? If you're gonna do the 9-month or the 2-month,
8 day,
the 8 day or the 9-month or whatever. So they said they just converted them over to the longer mission, and you're like, okay, all right. You see what I mean? Like they're just so nonchalant. Like
it just, man, I would be pissed. It sounds like a typical Navy deployment, doesn't it?
Here's the problem: the effects on your body. I mean, you're not supposed to be in space that long. The weightlessness and everything, it really screws you up. I mean, for long periods of time. So I don't know though. I don't know what those periods of time are. They could be like 20 years or something, and they're not even close. But I just know they don't like you to be in space. There's bone atrophy and stuff they talk about.
Right.
All kinds of things with weightlessness. Like it's just not good to be We're not designed
Yeah.
for that.
The muscles atrophy, the bones, they lose their density. They can't walk. When they first come back, when they're out there for a while.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's interesting, man. Like I just did I finished one of the courses from the Great Courses series on the modern physics, how we know what we know.
Mhm.
And the guy was talking amazing stuff. I'll tell you, it blew my mind off the introduction when he's like, how many of you have ever seen an atom? And he's like, if you're all like none of us, and he'd be like, yeah, none of us either, man. No one's ever seen an atom. It's smaller than the light spectrum. He's like, we don't. He's like, no one's ever seen it. He's like, that's just what we think it looks like. And then he went into what happened, like, to make us think that. And then he started to like explain like how they fire these photons trying to see if there was something on the head of a pin. And they were like, oh, wait, that shouldn't hit over there. And so then they started doing it faster. And, and then the people just started seeing weird stuff. And then they started, he said it all just started with questions, and as technology advanced, and he said, and we just keep being able to fracture these things. And he's like, and so now we can split the neutrons and protons into quarks. He's like, and that seems to be the smallest thing that we can do now. He's like, but anyway.
I think you just described science in the purest, most simplest form and didn't even realize it.
Oh, maybe.
It all starts with questions.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were asking, like, I wonder if we could do this, or I wonder what, and so anyway, long story longer, two things that they said that stick with me were he said physicists are actually very surprised at just how weak gravity is. And he said, yeah, he goes, everybody gets stunned by that. He's like, because it holds us to the planet, everything. So he said, yeah, but you could throw a rock in the air, but that's defying gravity. He said, hold the mouse up. That mouse is defying gravity. You're holding it. He's like, it's not. He's like, some guys have to stack up to 400 pounds to get a workout from gravity. He was like, so he goes, we're actually surprised at how weak it is. He goes, now it has a very long range. He said it'll catch you, But he said, he says it's a surprisingly weak field. He said, so that's very surprising to us. He said the other thing that's very surprising is how empty space really is. He said, we think we can see the edges now of everything. He said, so it's very uniform. He said it's in a straight line, kind of, right? Like it's more of like a straight line. And as you know, we, and you'll have to check my figures, right? But like the sun is like something like 93 million miles away. The moon is like 238,000 miles away. I think we rotate around the earth we rotate around the sun, I think, at 244 million miles an hour. And then our entire solar system, sun and all, is moving at 440 million miles per hour. So that is moving, and we're flying around it. Like,
where the hell's it going?
Flying. So nobody knows, but it's moving, right? So that's why I always joke, yeah. And so I'm just trying to stay on this bitch, man. Like I'm just trying not to fall off, right? Like
that's right.
Moving. But that's why they say they're so surprised at how weak gravity is, and we're all still here, right? Because we're moving at millions. So yeah, the whole system itself is hurtling through space. And what they said was it's very uniform. Space is very uniform. So like what we see in our galaxy is kind of what we see in other galaxies and other universes. And they said, and there's a lot of space between them. So like if you were to leave our universe, they said it would be like Mars. You would have to wait until they rotated to come around. Like, how Mars is near us he said you'd have to wait till that universe sort of came close. Otherwise, he said, we don't even know if you can fly through. It's like there's nothing there. There's nothing between the galaxies and there's nothing. They're not connected. Like, so there's a lot of so they said that the space is full of nothing. And they said of
It's
everything that they can see, all the known matter in the universe, if it were brought together, right, and all the space taken away, would only fill one professional football stadium.
no way.
Yeah, because they said the space is ridiculous. They said that's why at speed, they were like, physicists always joke like, just how long is a ruler, right? Because in order to answer that, you have to understand, is it in motion and how fast is it going? Because the faster something goes, the shorter it gets, right? Because it starts to compact. And so that's why
mind-blowing.
right, and that's why they talk about, like, is warp speed possible? Like, is it like when they talk about dimensional hopping, like, is it possible to go so fast you compact? And then you boom, like, and then like some people just talk about like weird stuff.
Like
There's all-
Ant-Man.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's all kinds of. So the bottom line is there's so much more to learn, so much more to do things. And this is a further rabbit hole, but this is where I got in. This is where I came up with kind of the theory, of people living in fact and people living in fantasy. And some people live in both, and people don't really understand. The people who live in fact have a different definition of what fantasy is. Right? They think fantasy is something you can't reproduce through experimentation. And so, you know what? That's not worth studying. We have limited time on this earth. Let's do the stuff we can reproduce and learn everything about that. So, if you ask them, is time travel possible? Yeah, sure, anything's possible. So we're going to, no, that's fantasy. Because we can't do anything with that. We can't reproduce that. It's not worth it looking into that. Like, right? Like we could be on the edge of discovering it, but to them, it's that's not.
It's not important.
Right. We've got things that we can reproduce that we don't know yet. And we're still trying to figure that out. And there's something here, right? And if I'm only alive for 84 years of reasonable functioning, do you want me over here on fantasy, or do you want to maximize this? Right. And so that's why guys like that's why a lot of these physicists seem disingenuous when they don't give anyone a chance. Right. That's why a lot of these archaeologists, they don't want to talk about aliens. They don't want to talk about any of it because resources are limited and they don't want to lose their funding. Because and what I'm trying to say, it's not like a greed thing. It's a look, this
is a preservation thing.
They're like, this is the stuff I can touch, man. I can't touch aliens. Okay, they're lying to me, or they're hiding, or they're even if they're here, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can't do anything with that. So I have to work over here. And so
speaking of aliens,
anyway,
there is a documentary that's coming out, and I just saw this on. So it was a preview on YouTube the other day, and I don't remember the name of it, unfortunately, because I didn't expect to be bringing it up. But it's, of course, it's got the usual players, and it's got the Lou Elizondo. I think
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it's got all the senators that are a part of this committee, whatever the case may be. It's even got old Bob Lazar, I believe, is making a new appearance. But it's just fascinating, you got, and then part of the clips are like, director of CIA and some of these other intelligence guys, and they're here, they've been here.
Dr. Greer was just on with Alex Jones, and he was dropping bomb after bomb after bomb.
I don't trust that guy.
Nobody does.
Something about him, man.
Not a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't. I mean,
my biggest
I don't know what to say. He says he briefed the president, though. He has sent over a brief.
My biggest reason is because he charges people for shit.
Yeah, he charges $40 for his brief, man. Yep, sure does. So, they were saying he could get it, but so he was out there dropping bombs, man, and he was saying the dead naval intelligence officer. He goes, it's a matter of record. He went out and said it prior to his death that he saw the plans for 9/11 on Dick Cheney's desk and was told, "We'll kill you and your family if you ever say anything." Before 9/11, and he's like, and he just started like dropping bombs, man, and you're like, and so my thing is, right, like that's the crazy stuff, man. Like that's like you shouldn't be able to just say that. You're saying, a political figure Like that's okay. Well, let's investigate that. Let's go
First
down
off,
that. You know.
how is that guy even still alive?
Well, exactly. Because so my thing about probably because everybody laughs it off, right? Like, well,
Mhm.
first of all, and then second of all, they're not going to look into it, right? Because they just say Greer is, he's full of shit, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I think Luis Elizondo is garbage. It's just my own personal opinion, and I have not seen everything he's ever done, and I haven't read everything. So I just want to be clear. The things that I have seen, the things that I have read, all the crap he produces is from like 1930 and 1950, and he uses that to say, look, they knew about it then. This is the unclassified stuff. I'm telling you, it's way worse, now, and there's way more now. But look at this 1930. Okay, come on, man.
Smoke and mirrors.
If you like this, and then the other people that are like, I'll brief these people in a skiff, but I'm not. Oh, okay. You know what? You know what? You could end all of this right now, today, today. And then I understand your life's in jeopardy, man. I get it. But you don't get the Medal of Honor for sitting on your couch going, man, that looks tough.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, the only way I'm going out there is if we get some air, have some ground. You got some Marines over there? Can they go in first and then I'll come in? Okay,
Right.
it can't be like that, man. Like if you can answer these questions, I mean, then answer them. Stop saying, "Oh, it's classified. I can't say anything."
You're effectively not a whistleblower then.
It's absurd. This is absurd, man.
If
And
it's
just get everybody over the hump. Just get over it.
yeah, if it's that egregious, then say it. Because if it's that egregious, the American people have a right to know about it.
Well, you know what they say. Well, it has to do with free energy and all that, and that's why they can't reveal certain things. And like, because they were even asking, like, well, why don't they release the medical technologies? They'd be heroes. And they were like, well, because the medical technologies will give away the engineering technologies of the other stuff. It's all based on the same, principles, is what he's saying, right? And you're just sitting here like, um, okay, I understand why they would try to keep it secret, right? I mean, because a lot of people lose a lot of money, power structures would shift, things would change. What do you do with the society at that point? How do you police it, right? I mean, everything changes, right? I mean, and change is scary, and so people in great fear, who live in fear, probably don't want any of that to happen or feel like they can control the release and sustain it. But my thing is, if we're being manipulated that way, and I mean, so here's my thing, right? So all these lives that die because of medical technology you're aware of being hidden is on you, right? I mean, so
Yep.
every death that occurs, the longer you keep this technology from because you have the answers, then these deaths are on you now. They're on you now. You've been running around for years telling us enough. Enough. They're on you. If it exists and that technology's there and we have people dying in the hundreds of thousands of shit you could have given us, okay, that's on you now, Dr. Greer,
Yep.
Luis Elizondo, Air Force guy. I didn't even learn your name. It was so not worth it when you when you're I'm gonna
Right.
testify.
I
Get
think
out
it
of here.
was yeah, I don't fucking know. It comes down to basically politics with the sub block of lobbyists
Yeah.
because, it's money at the end of the day. Like you
That's
said.
why I'm saying those and so here's the thing, Dr. Greer. Those debts are on you, my friend. They're on you. I hold you responsible. If it comes out that there are, I mean, because this could all be a psyop too, right? I mean, I'll tell you what, man. I want them to be real,
Right.
but I do not
You ain't
discount
drinking the
that this is
Kool-Aid.
all a psyop, right? Like
Yeah.
we're spending money on it, so Russia spends money on it. And if
And
Russia
China.
spends money on it, we'll spend a little more money on it. And then if they see us doing it, and then every dollar spent on this crap is less dollars spent on killing people. So I do believe that. I do believe there's a psyop aspect of that,
Oh,
right?
sure.
No and so
doubt.
no one has anything. Everyone's just lying about it because no one wants to be known as not. And look, they already said we are never admitting anything when it comes to aliens, because if we admit we have it and no other country does, we become a target. If we admit we don't have it and another country does, we just told them we don't have shit.
That's
And
right.
he's like, so we are never, ever, ever going to tell you if it exists or not, as long as we are in control of that information. And they've already said so. So any hearings, any committees that come up, none of that means anything. They're
No,
never going to tell
it's
you.
all smoke and mirrors, like I said. But what if, man?
I
Let's
wish, like I said,
continue
I
down.
want.
Let's continue down that rabbit hole. What if Greer is right, but he he got greedy, and so now nobody trusts him, and now
Well, I
they're
don't think
using
it's
him as a scapegoat.
I don't think it's greedy. I think, he probably doesn't have money and he's got to fund this thing. You know what I mean?
Well, that's his own damn fault because he was an ER physician.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so he
He
left to
could have kept
pursue this,
working.
and then he did all that work, and then and really, I mean, he's not squeezing you. It's a $40
No.
book. It looks really well done.
Man, something about him, man. I can't put my finger on it.
Well,
He's
what
just-
I can't put, I mean, I'm not saying like the book thing isn't what leads me to believe they're fake. What leads me to believe they're fake is they've never said anything like the classified shit. This is ridiculous, man. Like what?
Right.
Well, we have grid cords. Whatever. I mean, yeah, I don't buy it, man. And I don't know. That's just freaking weird, man. You know what? I didn't know. I trained on Nellis. I didn't know that's where Area 51 is, or it's like right around there. I didn't know
Oh,
that.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't either, man. And so I was Googling the other day and I was talking to Copilot. I was like, hey, I didn't know Nellis was near or somebody said I was in Area 51 when I said I've been to Nellis. And they said, oh, I could see where they would be confused because it's close, but it's not on it proper. But Nellis has security responsibility over it.
Got it.
So I was like, oh, cool. All right.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I even asked that question when I was out in Vegas, man. How far is Area 51?
Yeah. I mean, dude, all that stuff is so cool. It's so neat. It would be, like I think, like Orson Welles said, right? When he was asked, do you believe in aliens? And he's like, well, if we are alone, what a terrible waste of space. And then there are a lot of theories. There are a lot of crazy theories. In the course that I listened to, right, like How We Know What We Know, they talked about. He said there are very, very credible physicists in the field who believe this is a computer simulation. He said that I don't, and he went through each one of them, man, and he didn't discredit anyone. He didn't like treat anyone like they were ridiculous. He just said, here's what they believe. Here's what they're using for their proofs, and they all admit there's still a lot of work to do. And in many instances, when the guy was talking about some of the out there theories, he goes, as I'm talking to you today, this could already be discovered, and he may be completely right. And he's like, just that's how this world works. And he's talking about things, and he's like, we don't know everything. He said that's why we have physics for little things and physics for big things, because the planets don't move like the little things move, because forces are acting on them we don't know about. They said that's how they found dark matter, because of gravity fields, and they're like, why are these things wobbling? Like they shouldn't be wobbling. What's pulling on it? I don't see anything there. There's nothing there. Oh, must be dark matter.
That whole dark matter thing is bizarre, man.
Yeah.
It's hard to wrap your mind around,
So he was talking about, you talk about bizarre. He was talking about the atomic bomb and physics, and he was like talking about so he's like, oh yeah, man. Some people thought because there's there's like 7 quarks or something, right? And like 4 are temporary, and it like takes a lot to create them. And this is like physics I don't understand, right? But if I'm gonna explain it, I'm gonna explain what I don't understand. So anyway, what the guy was saying was one of the scientists thought, because it takes a mass amount of energy to split these things off, and when you split it off, it creates the other quark, right? And he said, so because it would take a mass of energy to create that, when that was created, it might in turn create another one, right? And it'll just keep this chain of mass, and then we'll be covered in the planet will be a quark, right?
Oh,
He said,
wow.
he was like, look, man, he goes, I mean, is it a sound theory? He goes, yeah, I mean, if you were to add this out, if that were to happen, he goes, but that would take an exponential amount of energy. You know, he goes, but it was a reasonable fear because that is how these things are created, and we did not know what the atomic bomb was going to do at the time.
Right.
That's why he was concerned. He said the other thing they were concerned about was the atmosphere burning up. And this is what I thought was interesting. He said at the time they didn't know this, but we know now that'll never happen because basically he said we're getting nuked daily like that up there with cosmic rays. He's
Yep.
like, and it hasn't happened. He's like, so he's like,
Right.
we're getting nuked on a daily basis, man. So
That's
I thought
true.
that was fascinating. You know, he's like, so we know the atmosphere won't burn up. He goes, but was it risky to do it? Yeah. Yeah. He goes, yeah. I mean, those were leading smart minds, man. He said these, you know, and I think and part of the reason I really enjoyed the course though was because he did explore some of those more radical theories and wild things you heard. And he just let you know, man, hey, this is a wild place, man. This world of physics. This is wild, you know, and things are happening and people are doing stuff. And you know, because he was talking about the collider, like we're gonna collide, and that was gonna like do all kinds of that was the one that was gonna cover the world in quarks when they turn on the
Oh,
collider.
got it. Got it.
And he was like, the
You
atomic
know,
bomb was going to burn the atmosphere.
you know how they're finding things now that is essentially rewriting history that we're much older than we ever thought we were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What if we're just repeating the same cycle over and over again?
Well, I mean, you had Terrence K. Howard who had an interesting theory, and I know he's been blasted for everything under the sun being ridiculous. But I mean, the one thing people say, you know, hey man, he might be onto something here, is that there is a sweet zone that every planet goes through with the sun, and so the most advanced civilizations would be those furthest from us, right?
Hmm.
Like furthest from the sun, because they had their chance. Right, as
Mm.
everything moves away from this. So like, you know, every planet has a couple billion years in a sweet zone, and that's your turn to figure it out and get off. Like if you know, you got this amount of time to figure it out, and you know if you can get off or whatever you can
Whatever.
do, right? You know, but because we, you know, and that, you know, eventually we'll be out and Mercury will be in, you know, and it'll be, you know, it'll be Mercury's turn. But what can you do, you know?
Right.
But that was his thing, man, and all the other galaxies and all the other universes are having the same thing. You know, the same thing is happening. And what we're seeing may be those civilizations who figured it out before their time. That's why they're in space.
Could
Because
be.
their planet is gone. You know, it's they did their sweet spot and they're out in space now.
But you know, you talk about the ice age and how there were, you know, meteor impacts that cause it. What if we're just idiots and we can't get our shit straight, you know, and we cause our own demise, and then, you know, the planet resets itself and we go through
Yeah.
this whole process all over again.
Well, the next evolution in humanity, right? What is that, right? I mean, like we went from Cro-Magnon man to us, you know, and then one of the things we talked about this before, you know, the oldest human found on record. I think though they have a new one now, but one of the oldest humans found on record, full, complete, like frozen, you know, was murder. You know, he's got
Right.
he's got defensive wounds, spear wounds. You know, and then apparently he killed somebody too because he's got blood from two other people. Like so he, you know, so in the article it said he apparently gave as good as he got because he had blood from. So what they think is they killed him, shoved his ass in a crevice, and he immediately froze over. You know, and
Hmm.
that's how we found him, so well preserved, right? But you know, one of the thoughts is because we don't know, we haven't been everywhere. I mean, they're still finding uncontacted tribes. You ought
Right.
to look it up. They just found another one last month, and they're like floating them food. I mean,
Um,
can you imagine this? Thousands of years these people are living. No one has seen them. No one has talked to them. They don't know what the fuck they're looking at.
Bigfoot could be real.
Well, so you ought to look at the Andy. Let's talk about a rabbit hole, and maybe we'll wrap up with this, but because we are getting kind of over
Oh
time.
yeah, we are, huh?
But these uncontacted civilizations. So there are teams that go out and do this, right? And they keep it very quiet because they don't want anybody to fuck with them, right? To go exploit
Right.
them or try to do anything with them or try to clear out their forest, right? But like these teams, like they all kind of know each other. They go down. They've been killed, man. Like they've had members killed. Like you know what? We don't trust you anymore.
I believe it.
And like they're like one of the guys was doing an interview. I forget who he was like. Oh yeah, man, my buddy's got a spear wound, man. Right? It's like they freaking speared him, and he's a, that's what happens when you get with these tribes, man. They
Yeah.
trust you till they don't. You're bringing tech and all that stuff. I mean, you've seen the movies. They're like, that's how it is. Like you bring your tech and stuff, and if the old man one day thinks it's ruining the village, guess who's guess who's getting beheaded? Like they've had friends beheaded. Like one guy
used
had
to
his head
say-
shrunk.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
We used
yeah.
to say we wouldn't do the same,
Well, I mean, it's fascinating, man. Like that, there's still uncontacted tribes out there, still groups of people that are, doing whatever they're doing. But
Maybe
It's
we're the uncontacted tribe.
I mean, it could. I mean, it could be. It could be.
I'm being an idiot. That's all. Anyway, I thought tonight was awesome, even though we didn't
Yeah, it
have
was
a
a good
guest.
conversation. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Like, we ran a little over, but whatever.
That's
Pinups
all
for
right.
Vets.
Anyway,
Do you have a charity?
Pinups for Vets sounds good to me.
Pinups for Vets. Go to pinupsforvets.com. They're in every theater, around everywhere, keeping all soldiers, sailors, and airmen and space cadets warm at night. Get a deck of cards, get a blanket, get a likeness on a pillowcase, right?
That's right.
Tasteful pictures depicting military spouses and military members doing it for the troops, right? So you'll see recreations of Rosie the Riveter, 50s scenes, all tastefully taken, all in support for the troops. 50s pinups for vets. Check it out. No better charity.
So, some of those spouses, I actually have pictures too. So if you can't find the ones you want on Pinups for Vets, just let me know. Small nominal fee, I can hook you up if you know what I'm saying.
Not the truth.
All right, everybody. Appreciate you. We will see y'all next week.
You're listening to Nothing's Off the Table with Andy and Lou, an Admiral Media production podcast.